case you didn't know, my name is Pim, and I travel all across Japan hunting for the best retro video games, deals, arcades. We do everything on this channel.
And now for something completely different.
Hey everyone, Ben here from pixelportable. I hope you're well. I have just received a parcel from Japan, Amazon Japan in fact, and it contains something pretty cool. And if you're a handheld enthusiast like me, this is pretty much like the equivalent of a Bible. Alright, here we are with this very, very aesthetic top-down shot. You're on top of the CRT right now, CRT's up here, and we're looking at one of those magazines that you just saw in the little B-roll footage. These are the perfect catalog console magazines, and this one, as you see here, is the Game Boy. What is a perfect catalog? The perfect catalog is the optimum coffee table guide for owning these handhelds, and the way it works is quite simple. It has, in the beginning, this one's pretty special because it has a big pull-out of all the dimensions of all the different models of Game Boy and Game Boy Color. And on the other side, it has every model that was ever made, officially anyway. Look on the inside there, what a lovely inside cover as well. Yeah, so we've got inside, we have the dimensions of the Game Boy, we have all the different models that existed, and then the first section of the Game Boy Perfect Catalog, we have the motherboard. So this is the technical specifications of the motherboard and a little bit of information probably on it. I don't read Japanese. I'll translate it later and have a look. But yeah, this is really nice photography, top-down component shots. Chapter 1, we have the part that I'm the most interested in, which is the hardware catalog. And this has information on the history of different hardwares. But here is the full exploded top-down, rear, bottom, left side view of the Game Boy. Some original posters right here. This is the kind of thing I love to see. I love to see all the stuff that existed in an official capacity around it. We're talking about the CPU here. This is probably, I don't know what this is about, but we have cartridges, and that cartridge is Alleyway. You know, Alleyway is a Block King game. I'll have some footage probably on the screen now, but Alleyway, yeah. Shows you the inside of the battery compartment. This is like a fully fleshed out ultimate guide to these handhelds. So here we have the Game Boy Pocket. We have some of the posters. That's a sick poster. The peach one's a sick poster. The gold one's a sick poster. Oh, I'd love to have some of these posters. Even if they're reproductions, I'd have them. And then we've got the Game Boy Light, which I believe was a Japan exclusive. Basically an original Game Boy, not Game Boy Color. But it had a backlight, which shows you they had the technology to do a backlight, but that didn't work for color. I don't actually own a Game Boy Light. That's the one thing I'm going to have to get next time in Japan. Game Boy Color. Now we know the Game Boy Color is something I love. I've got, I'll grab one actually. Game Boy Color. I actually have that exact color and model in my bag, but I got out the more loved Atomic Purple, which you can see right here. I'm trying to get the camera correctly. Delicious handheld. Oh, it was my first ever Game Boy. Was a Game Boy Color. I didn't own the original heavy one until, well, the DMG until literally since I came back from traveling. And then we have the posters for the Game Boy. Now, fun fact about those is there's different little ones inside the actual Game Boy Color games as well. We have the motherboard. We have some games. And I think they're talking about the fact that the Game Boy Color could play original games like Tetris. I'm not sure if that's a minuet version. I'll have to look very closely. Can't actually tell from there if that was the legendary minuet version of Tetris or not. I think this, now that I look at this, this might be the different color module modes you could do on your Game Boy Color by holding different buttons when you turn it on. If you didn't know this, when you turn on a Game Boy Color, in fact, I'll show you. And you can test it out for yourself. If you have a Game Boy Color, go for it. Go for it. And this is the part that I love. This is the accessories. And I love this because this is the sort of thing that I would love to tick off myself of things that I've seen in the wild or in fact own. Now, as I look through these, I do recognize a lot of these things. I recognize these two. These are very common to find in a hard-off in the junk section. They were the battery units. I've seen this one a few times as well, the Game Boy Light battery pen. It's basically a battery in a pen, and you just plug it in when you need it, and you have it on your belt or whatever. They're all very dangerous and dead now. Great for a collector's item, but I wouldn't pick one of these up and start charging it and using it. We've got the original link cable. I don't actually have an original link cable boxed. I do have this one boxed. I don't have this one boxed. There's this, and I have no idea what that is. It's called the Handy Game Boy Machine. And it retailed for 3,000 yen back in the day, so it's not exactly cheap. See, that's something I'm going to look up after this, so I can find out. This is why I love these kind of books, because I can find new things. And then there's this, the Game Boy phone adapter, and I have one of these as part of a big project. And if you have seen things I've posted before on pixelportable Discord, and some of my friends will have known, there's a big project I'm working on with that. And then over here we have the official headphones. I actually have this boxed. I have a boxed official headphones. They're going to be awful, so I'm not getting them out. I have this. This is the Wide Boy. Oh, that's the Wide Boy I have. I have the Model 2, not the Model 1. And then there's the Sound Boy, which I really want, but I only saw one and it was really expensive. But you plug that in the bottom and you get 2 giant speakers into your Game Boy, which is cool. This, which is the Hyper Boy. Look how cool that is. You slot your Game Boy in, and then these buttons all line up with the actual machine, as you can see in this picture here. And yeah, it becomes a little arcade cabinet. I want one of those. 100% want one of those. The Game Boy Pocket Camera. Got one of those on my display right here. In fact, it's the same one, same color, purple, because it was time purple. I have one of every color except for, so these are different colors. I have red boxed. I have this purple one, and I have a yellow one. I'm missing green. That's the last one I need to finish my collection of Game Boy Pocket cameras. And then we've got the Game Boy Pocket Printer. I have the Pokemon version of that, which is here. Little picture here. And then they're showing you some of the different carts. So we've got here this shape here, which was the Rumble Pack carts. And this one is the Pokemon Pinball one. And then underneath it is the Gyro cart for Kirby, 𝙋𝙊𝙍𝙍, which is Tiltful Kirby or something like that. Yeah. Tilt and Tumble, I think it's called in the West. And you actually physically tilt your game to move Kirby along a map. I really want this. This is the fishing sonar kit for the Game Boy. But it's really expensive and it's really rare. I mean, originally it cost 14,000 yen. Crikey. That's expensive. That's really expensive. But I want this. You put this bit in the water, you plug this in, and you can see where fish are using sonar, using your Game Boy. And then here we have the Barcode Boy, which you will have seen. I own this Barcode Boy reader and the Battle Space cards. I don't have the Battle Space cards, but I have the Battle Space game. The next page, we have the infamous. You would have seen people like Retro Future. He's a channel that I love, and he has one of these. It's the Game Boy sewing machine attachment. Use it to make patterns for it to make, which is crazy. We've got some nice posters down here. I have this one, and I have it framed, but it's actually been taken out of the frame as part of said big project. And then the next thing that these books have is the years. So this has from 1989 to 2003, and it has releases. Here we go. See, 1989. Here are the releases. I think that's in order as well. It's got their prices when they came out. And this is really good if you're trying to make a complete collection. You can look through this to find them. So I know I have this one, navy blue. Navy blue. That's this one. Ta-da! And you can do that, and you can work out your collection as you're going through everything, which is really, really awesome. And this goes through all of the years. And that's why this book is so thick, because the original Game Boy had a really, really long shelf life. It's into Game Boy Color as well. This is Game Boy and Game Boy Color, by the way. That's what this magazine covers. So yeah, really long support for OG Game Boy. And then we have here a list. I think these are Overseas Software Index. Okay, so this is the equivalent of like imports, but from a Japanese perspective, right? But that's how these books work. Okay, so there isn't just a Game Boy one. As you may have noticed in the opening shot, there's 4 books that I picked up. There's more than 4 that exist. This one is a PSP one. See it? This has all the PSP releases. This has all the accessories, which there are lots of. This has all the different models, which there are lots of. It's amazing. And then this one's a console. One of my favorite consoles, the Sega Saturn. And this does the same thing. Has all of the releases, and it has the hardwares, and everything. Even has, it has a model in here that I really want. Oh, there, look, recognize this? Model I mixed with the UK version to make my own special hybrid V Saturn. I'll have a nice fancy picture on the screen right now. But yeah, that's the perfect catalog for Sega Saturn. And then I have the perfect catalog for Game Boy Advance. And you know how much I love Game Boy Advance? I love Game Boy Advance a lot. And there's so many titles. And there's so many accessories. You're wondering, why is there a GameCube here? The GameCube had the Game Boy Player, which I even owned. I sold it stupidly. And that let you play Game Boy Advance games and Game Boy games on your GameCube. Super cool. Here's the Game Boy Micro getting some love. The Micro is a great console. Yeah. There's all the specs. And then once again, this one has a giant pull-out of all of the specifications, like so. And then on the other side is all the models. So check those out. These are the perfect catalogs for every console. They have one for Dreamcast, PlayStation, PlayStation 2. Some of them come in volumes. I think PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 comes in 2 volumes. So you have to buy both books to have the complete set because they're just that big. But yeah, if you're a handheld gamer and you love the classics, and I'm not talking about portable emulators that we have today, I'm talking about original hardware produced by like Nintendo or Sony or whoever, or even if you're just into consoles, these are the must-have books for you. And I bought these online from Japan. You look around hard enough, you'll find some. You better find them on Sendico as well, and places like that. Or if you're in Japan, go into like a book off, and see if you can find them. I'm definitely going to be hunting for these when I'm next there to get the ones that I'm missing. I don't think there's been a better resource for a collector to have than these amazing books. So I guess I wanted to show these off and say, hey, this is an incredible resource for anyone that's into collecting, anyone that's into gaming on original hardware. Maybe you don't even own any of this hardware, right? Maybe you just want to see all the different versions without having it for it to spend money on it. You can just have it all here. It's like owning a complete collection. So there we go. That's this video. This video was about magazines I bought. What do you think of this top-down view? I think it's quite nice. Quite nice. I find it really hard to get things in line, so I keep looking off to this way to see where they are on the monitor. But yeah, it's a really nice top-down shot. I've been Ben at Pixel Portable. Thanks ever so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye.
And that's not all.